Hello everyone! No, I'm not dead yet. I feel bad about being away for so long, and I hope to make some videos soon talking about it and sharing some of the projects I'm excited to be working on. But I am grateful to all the new subscribers. I mean, thank you very much. It's very motivating. I'll try to do better. But today, I've decided to make this quick video because a number of you have asked me, how do I set up Visual Studio Code? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that today. Let's dive in. While I'm doing this, I might as well start from the very beginning, in case there's somebody out there who's never installed Lua2D before. If you just want the Visual Studio stuff, just skip past this part. So we have here a whole bunch of platforms, and obviously I'm going to choose Windows because I'm using a Windows machine. And the choice is yours, but I'm going to go with 64-bit zipped. And as you can see, I've already downloaded it. So I'm going to open up that folder here and extract it. And one thing I like to do is just rename this folder just to make things easier. I'm going to call it Love2D. And some people like to include this in their project folder, but I like to just copy that and then paste it here in the C folder so all my projects have access to Love2D. And as you can see, I've already done that here. And if you open it up, you can see there's not a lot. We don't need to install Lua because the Lua interpreter is included with that. As you can see that it's Lua 51. And here is the executable. If I run that, well, it says no game. And that's because you need to run a folder that has a file called main.lua. Now, you've probably seen me use Visual Studio before, and I'm going to open up the terminal. And I'm sure what you've seen me do in other videos is say love dot. And then when I do that, somehow Love2D opens up. But you don't get that right out of the box. You actually have to set that up with Windows. So the way to do that is you go here into the search bar, you just type in environment variables or something. And then it says edit the system environment variable. So I'm going to click that. And the thing we want is, of course, environment variables. And we're going to go to path and edit that. And we could just add in the Love2D directory into one of these, like we can go new and then C Love2D, if that's what you named your folder. But I've already done that, so there's no point. And when you do that, actually, like if you look here at the Love2D folder, it says love.exe. So once you've added the path folder, Windows knows that when you go to the PowerShell or the terminal and you enter in love, it knows that you're referring to love.exe in that folder. So now what I need is a main file. So I've got this folder open in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to create a new file called main.lua. And I can run this and nothing's going to happen. Let's just see what happens. I'm actually curious now. I've never done this before. Yeah, just as I thought. Love2D loads main.lua and we just get a black screen. That's not very fun. Well, what we need are 3 callback functions. So Love2D has these functions built into it. That's part of the API. So the first one is love.load. And then the second one is love.update, which takes in delta time. And then the third main one that we need is love.draw, which does what the name says. Now let's just say I want to draw a rectangle to the screen. I could do love.graphics. And I have here all of the autocomplete stuff. Like somehow my Visual Studio Code knows about Love2D and knows about the API functions. It knows what sort of functions Love2D has. But that's not by default. You have to configure certain things in Visual Studio Code. And it also knows about Lua stuff. So if I do like some sort of invalid Lua code, you know, we get the red squiggly lines and things, so we get the yellow squiggly lines. So next up, I'm going to show you how I configured Visual Studio Code to be able to autocomplete and have the different syntax highlighting and stuff. To set up Visual Studio Code, I find this website, Sheepolution, very helpful. And Sheepolution has this wonderful guide on setting up Visual Studio Code. And you really need to do two things. You need to install this Lua plugin by Sumneko. So all you do is you click on that, and you can see there's support for syntax highlighting and all bunch of versions of Lua. It's pretty self-explanatory, you just press install. But I'm not going to do that because I've already installed it. You would open it with, well, this is in Japanese, but you would open up Visual Studio Code. Okay. And then the other thing you need to do is to copy and paste these settings right here. So you just highlight that, copy it. Now in Visual Studio, you press Ctrl, Shift, and P, and then you enter in Preferences, and you want this one right here, Preferences, Open User Settings. So I already have it here, but you can see I also have a lot of other settings for my Visual Studio Code. If I just pasted it in, you know, it would look like that. But if you already have settings, what you want to do is you want to have this part right here above everything else, and then all of the settings go between these yellow braces. And you press save, and that's all there is to it, really. I know a lot of you have wanted to know what settings I use, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I hope you found this helpful. If so, like and subscribe. Have a good day.